there wasn't like a whole lot of like love interest type stuff, which I was really surprised about, and I think was kind of refreshing because it was like, yeah, like we're not here for that. We're here for the big monkey.
Right.
Like, show us that.
Yeah.
My name is Nate.
My name is Mike.
My name is Will.
My name is Josh.
And what the hell was that?
What the hell was that?
What the hell was
What
that?
the hell was that?
Kang. Femur Peninsula.
So I've already kind of said this a little bit to the group before we started podcasting, but I'll say I enjoyed that movie a great deal more than I expected to.
Yeah.
Same.
It was pretty
Yeah.
good.
Honestly, me too. Like, I thought it was going to be, I don't know. I don't want to give away spoilers, but I thought it was going to be a little more cheesier. It was packed. It was packed with action.
It was.
Like it was pretty campy, but it was done very well somehow. You know, like
Tasteful.
I don't know how to describe it other than that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I feel like maybe you guys are not on this wavelength, but I feel like within the Godzilla community, like these whole movies kind of get a bad rap.
Yeah,
it's just
well.
like Hollywood cash grab crap, you know? And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I think that's not fair because I think they're actually pretty solid. Like
Well,
every time that
I
I
can
watch one
tell
of these,
you-
I'm like, oh, okay, that was actually a pretty fun movie to watch.
Yeah. In the Kong community, the Godzilla movies get a bad rap.
Yeah.
You know.
I
I
think
think
that's
it's-
why they're always.
That's why they're always fighting Kong and Godzilla.
It's like an interesting balance, I feel like, with these movies too. Like, I think you said it, like, they're fun to watch because there are a lot of like cliches and like certain stuff that comes up that you're like, oh, of course, but it's
Yeah.
like still super entertaining.
Even like the cliches that they do, it feels like they're done well. Like, they
Right.
wrote it well enough.
Well, I mean, like, frankly, they could have like killed all the humans off in the first 5 minutes, and then just had like Kong fight pit with various monsters on the island for like an hour and a half.
I'd be into that.
and I would have been on board the whole time, frankly.
Which actually, I wonder if that is part of it, you know? Because like I feel like it's so often with like monster movies and like this isn't a horror movie, but also horror movies.
Yeah.
Like you want more of that. Like you want to see the monster like kicking ass.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this movie was like, all right, yeah, let's show the monster kicking some ass
Yeah,
like
man.
Yeah.
quite frequently.
Yeah.
I think what I liked about this movie, which was a total surprise to me because
Uh-huh.
I did not go into it thinking I would enjoy it.
Uh-huh.
I think like the people who made the movie just they knew what it was and they stuck to it. Like the plot wasn't like diluted with like some like half-assed like love interest that like went
Yeah.
nowhere. Like it was an action movie about a giant freaking gorilla, and that's what they stayed true to.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it is kind of funny you said that because, like, we, of course, you know, first, like, 10 minutes of the movie, we're like, okay, that's going to be the love interest.
Yeah.
That person's going to die.
Right,
you know?
right.
But, like, I was thinking, like, at the very end, I was like, huh. Like, yes, Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson's character are, like, hanging out. But, like, there wasn't, like, a whole lot of, like, love interest type stuff, which I was really surprised about and I think was kind of refreshing because it was like, yeah, like, we're not here for that. We're here for the big monkey.
Right.
Like, show us that.
Yeah.
I will plus
they,
one.
They certainly do like the little like head hold thing at the end when she gets like knocked silly or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But they don't have a big swelling romantic kiss at any point.
Yeah.
If anything, the love interest was between Brie Larson and Godzilla.
Yeah, that's or yeah, King Kong. Yeah.
Or that's
What movie did we just
That's why Kong and Godzilla are duking it out. It's a really tricky love triangle.
I would have actually, I would have really liked if at the end, like at the end when Kong like kills the spider weird
Thing,
lizard
yeah.
thing, like if it just zoomed out and then it was like Godzilla was like approaching the island like
Yeah.
from the sea or something,
Yeah.
just like the monster just gets bigger and bigger and bigger
Godzilla was the island.
the whole time.
I guess are we ready to hop into the plot to the best
yeah.
that we can?
If you're
I'm
willing
ready
to help me,
to
friend.
remember.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. So okay, yeah, so it starts off, if I remember correctly, with World War II planes just falling from the sky.
Yep.
And they crash land on a beach.
Yep.
And we have an American World War II guy, and he's looking all around and stuff, and he sees a Japanese plane that's crashing to the beach. And so he decides, well, time for me to go kill that Japanese man.
Yeah,
and so he
he's
starts
on
to
it.
head
He's
over
really
to
on
that
it.
plane.
Yeah.
To which the Japanese guy is like, oh, I better kill this American dude. And they're just they're shooting at each other, and they're not doing a good job.
Bad shots.
Oh,
Terrible. They're
aims.
like stormtrooper level, like aiming.
Yeah, not good.
And then they end up like frolicking through the woods trying to kill each other.
Kind of, yeah.
And American dude gets his hands cut up pretty bad by a katana.
True.
And then he's about to get stabbed through the throat until a big old monkey man comes up and says, "Hey, knock that off."
The monkey man was Kong.
Yeah. It should be noted.
There was actually a different monkey.
The very same.
Well, I guess to be fair, there were different monkeys
Yeah,
at some
Kong used to
point.
have
We
a
don't know
family.
when they died.
Yeah.
That's true.
True.
And it has been
Yeah.
like 28 years
When
or
the baby
some
Kongs
crap.
got killed or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So that really set the scene.
Yeah.
And then it sort of skips forward into
Vietnam. time.
Vietnam, 1973.
I think then we have John Goodman and the other dude
Yep.
whose name I can't remember,
Yeah.
who had the like theory of Hollow Earth or something.
Oh, like the two scientists.
yeah, and they're like
yeah.
talking, and they're more or less just like, well, there's this island, we should try to go there, huh?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they met like the senator.
Yeah.
And they're like trying to get his attention and like be like, but sir.
And the senator is the dad from Step Brothers, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
That is pretty funny.
It was
And-
like I think the tipping point for this, which I thought was really funny, for the senator to be like to give the go ahead to like go explore this island and like use resources was like they pulled out, but like we have these satellite images, and in 3 days the Russians will get these satellite images.
And he's like, hold your horses.
want
Did you
them
say
to find
Russians?
it?
Like
literally.
no interest in the mission at all until it became a competition.
right,
Yeah.
right. They
And
were
I
like-
think in their bargaining, they're also like, and you also already have like some military people who are flying that general direction. Maybe
Right.
we could just hop
Let's
on
hop
with
on,
that.
yeah.
right.
And then I
also take them with us,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, everybody wins. And then speaking of military people, I think then we get like a glimpse of the military people who are like hanging out, and they're like, "Oh man, I can't wait to go home and be with my sweetheart and kids." And then Samuel L. Jackson's just like stewing over everything.
He
I
kind of
guess.
seemed like he's definitely like some higher up general or something like that. He seemed like he didn't want to go home.
Yeah,
like he
definitely
seemed like, oh my god, I can't believe the war is ending. Like he didn't seem happy about it at all.
Even
Yeah.
before he got the phone call that he thanked the guy for,
Yeah.
he was looking at his like box of medals in what felt like a very nostalgic manner.
Oh right,
yeah,
right.
He's looking for more war crimes to commit.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
why
He's itching for
he
some
was
more crimes.
elated when he got the call from Mr. Senator Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
And they're like, I've got a mission for you.
tell your boys it's time to get back in the Vietnam helicopters.
Yeah, he's like, look, I know it's like the last day that you're there and you're about to go home, so like, sorry to do this to you. If there's anybody else, he's like, no problem, no. Well,
It's
what?
like, thank you, sir.
This is
He's like, where
not
do you
an
to go?
issue.
It's like, we'll go whatever island. I don't care.
I'll go back to Vietnam. I don't care. Just
I
send me
really
somewhere.
And I think then we see John Goodman and the other scientist dude in
Saigon.
there we go. They're just walking through the street and they're like, "So you sure this guy is around here or something like that?" And he's like, "He's the best tracker that blah blah blah
He's
blah
like,
blah."
why do we need an ex-SAS member? And he's like, hey, we're scientists. We don't know how to navigate through the jungle. We need someone who can actually operate in this area.
Logical enough.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Then they
And-
like go into a bar.
Yeah,
where
he's
they
like,
see,
this is like, you really want to find this guy who like spends all his time drinking in this seedy bar? And John Goodman's like, my father told me never judge a man by where he drinks, but how well he holds his drink. And I'm like, yeah, thank you, John Goodman.
Yeah, I feel like everything that John Goodman says in this like movie is like some kind of like profound parable type
Oh,
thing like
I don't
that.
know. I feel like Brie
Oh my
Larson, when Samuel L. Jackson is like war photographer, and she's like anti-war
Yeah.
photographer. I'm like, okay.
That was sick.
All
Yeah.
right.
The writers' room was having a field day with this movie, dude.
For real.
They're just
But,
like,
yeah.
how many quips can we put in?
But they run into Tom Hiddleston, who's playing some pool, and then some dude comes up to him in another language and is like,
How do you come up
other
to somebody
language.
in another language?
Yeah. I don't know.
Is he walking like on his hands? It's like going forward. just like-
Exactly. And then Tom Hiddleston starts breaking pool sticks against people's noggins.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, he's sitting at the table with John Goodman and Hollow Earth fella. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it for X amount of money.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, that seems fair.
They're
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's
It's
fair.
like, that's
We respect
reasonable.
that your work is deserving of compensation.
Yeah, they're basically like, we'll pay you this much. And he's like, the fact that you're only paying me this much indicates that you don't know how dangerous this is going to be. And they're like, that's fair. We'll pay you much more now.
What I really liked is how he said, I want this much money and then this bonus if we make it back. As
Right.
if they didn't make it back, he was going to get the other money at all.
Yeah, like,
Or that the money that he would get up front
Yeah.
would be worth anything.
Right.
As
Yeah.
he's like trapped on this island.
Yeah.
Then I think we see Brie Larson like developing film and stuff.
Yes, yes.
And then she gets a call from somebody,
Nah.
and she's like, "I'll be there."
And they're like, you know that job you wanted? You got it. And
Yeah.
she's like, great. And that's the scene.
And then I think they're like getting ready to board onto like the ship, like the is then carrying all the helicopters
Yeah,
and
crew's all
such.
here. Yeah.
And then I don't think this was like of any importance now that I think about it, which is kind of like weird. But like when they're like waiting in line to like get in or onto the ship, there's just like somebody who like it seems like stole somebody's purse and was like running through the crowd and like
Yeah.
pushing people.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like, and they like look at him and they're like, huh. But then like just
Yeah.
go about their way. which
Welcome to
just-
Saigon.
Yeah.
Am I
They're
right?
like, we,
I
need we need
guess.
to throw in some more conflict here.
Yeah, so then they get on said helicopter thing and start making their way downtown.
Downtown.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, they like did the whole debrief thing,
Mm-hmm.
collect their troops, then they start going on the ship, right? And they get out there. There's just like a tropical storm with like lightning and
Like red lightning.
it looks like,
Like
there's just a
discolored.
cover of
Yeah.
like tornadoes surrounding the island.
And
Yeah,
they
'cause
like they
during
use
the debriefing. They're like, there's a storm system that constantly
Oh,
surrounds
yeah, I guess
the
there is the
island that
debriefing.
prevents like the world from getting in or
That's
whatever.
not sus.
And like
or-
I heard that, and I was like, okay, that makes some sense. But then like when you see the storm system, you're like, holy Christ, dude. It's like, that's much more intense than it was indicated. And also in the debriefing, they're like, all right, we're gonna drop these science devices on the island, and everyone's like,
Wait.
bombs, and they're like, science bombs. yes, of
Science
course.
bomb.
that is important. No, and the ideal mission for them was to go and just drop a shit ton of bombs
Yeah.
on the island to somehow figure out what's underneath.
yeah.
But
And then also they're like, and here's the biologist.
oh yeah, she
yeah,
got revealed
yeah,
right,
exactly.
right at the point.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if the geologist fellow was in on John Goodman's plan.
Geologist fella is the Hollow Earth
Yes.
theorist
Yes.
dude, by the way.
Because John Goodman, secretly, unbeknownst to us, but really unsurprisingly, frankly, his plan is actually to use these bombs to like draw out whatever crazy, super monstery thing lives on the island, and
Right.
then maybe. I don't know what his plan was, either to kill it or to like get footage of it to prove it exists and get more funding
not
for his
crazy.
program. Yeah, like I don't know what that is, but he definitely wants to bring out the monster. Whereas maybe the geologist does just want to know like the bedrock consistency of the island
Yeah.
or whatever.
Well, because kind of what I picked up from like their, especially as the movie goes on, and he like the geologist fella says like multiple times, he's like, I thought this dude was crazy.
Yeah.
He like definitely is just like, oh no, I just think that parts of the earth are hollow,
Yeah.
and so I'm gonna drop some bombs to figure that out.
Yeah, I think
and
you
John
got it
Goodman's
right.
like, yes. But also, there's monsters in those hollow parts,
yeah.
and he's just like, okay, Yeah. Like, can you give me some money so we can drop bombs now?
Yeah, so that's what they say they're gonna do, And the Brie Larson photographer lady is like, we're gonna drop bombs, and they're like, yeah, whatever. Not bombs, science stuff. We're gonna drop science stuff.
And then the soldiers are like, "You hear that, boys? We're scientists."
And then the scientists got so mad. They're like,
like,
you would never be
You're not a
scientists.
scientist.
You fool.
Yeah, and so then either nothing important happens, or the next scene is them coming up against this aforementioned big storm.
Well, there's a brief
Right.
boat scene where like Brie Larson talks to Tom Hiddleston, and they're both like, "Why does a
yeah.
science expedition need bombs?"
Which also, I think that it is funny you mentioned that actually, because she says exactly that. She's like, "What do they need bombs for a science expedition?" And it's like, yes, we know that like things are a little bit more than what is being let on. But like they just answered that question in the
Yeah,
debriefing.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
like,
Were you not
okay, so
listening?
we're going to use bombs and drop them
Right.
to test this thing. And she's like, now what would they need bombs for?
Right. I mean, to be fair, they didn't really answer in the debriefing. They're just like, we're going to drop these, they'll explode. And they're like, so they're bombs. They're like, oh, did we say bombs? We meant science. We're going to drop science. No more questions. Anyway.
No more questions.
Carry on.
But-
Yeah, so fair enough. They kind of dodged the question there.
Yeah, I guess the next sort of
Yes, I-
fly into the island.
Well,
Yep.
yeah,
We
but
see 'em.
beforehand, then there's like a bunch of people around like maps and stuff, and they're like, "We shouldn't do this. This is dumb." And then John Goodman's like, "Fuck you! Like, you can
Yeah.
stay here if you want, I guess."
This
but
boat
yeah.
out here for? Come on.
And yeah, so then like everybody gets on the thingies, and yeah,
I like
starts
because
heading
John
in.
Goodman's like, Lieutenant, you told me your people could fly through inclement weather.
Yeah.
And like you get like from sea to like a good like 5 miles above their helicopters, just like clouds and death. And it's just like, yeah, inclement weather. I don't know what you thought.
And again, I
meant.
think this can't be understated. Like Josh said, red lightning. Like,
Yeah.
what even causes that?
Terrifying. They fly through, and this is where it really starts to heat up. They don't really waste a lot of time here.
No.
Well, like, and everything in their choppers is like malfunctioning.
Yeah, the second they go in, it's
Yeah.
like whoop whoop whoop.
Shit kind of hits the fan, and then they're like, they make it through. Oh, and it's like this clear day, like
And
on
Samuel
the
L. Jackson
island, in the
is
middle
like-
of the island.
Samuel L. Jackson's just like, all right, let me tell you guys this story about a man who fell from great heights.
Oh yeah,
Samuel L. Jackson is like, remember the story of Icarus about how like he flew too close to the sun and his wings melted? Well, that's not going to happen to us because our propellers are made
Mid-turbulence.
of Pennsylvania steel.
Yeah!
And that doesn't melt.
Yeah.
And it's like, I thank Samuel.
thank you, sir.
Yeah, and
Black Celts can't melt steel beams.
I was thinking of a way to make the joke, and I was like, But yeah, so they fly on this beautiful day on this this uncharted island, and they're like, you know what? It's time to start dropping bombs
And playing music.
and playing music.
Yeah.
And they do just that, and they're having a good old time doing that.
They drop some bombs. The geologist and the biologist land
Hmm.
and are looking at the bomb results.
And then more bombs get dropped, and
Yeah.
there's the one beautiful shot, which I think, Will, you might have missed this when you were in the bathroom, but there's this dude with aviators,
fucking
and it's just
smile.
like he's got this big smile on his face, and you see the reflections of like the of the explosions in his
Yeah.
aviators,
Yeah.
and
Oh
he's
my
just like,
God.
yeah. And then it's immediately after that it pans from the view of this guy's face to then, as if you were in the helicopter, staring through what can only be described as the windshield, I guess. And then a big old palm tree just
Yeah.
comes in
that
and
was
just
epic.
fucking decimates it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right
This is
through.
where, yeah. Shit really hits the fan, and then
Like a real
I
like
think pretty
record
soon
scratch
after
moment.
that- pretty soon after that palm tree, we get the introduction of Kong.
Yeah.
And you see the hand come out and just like fuck up the helicopter.
Immediately, everybody's just like, "Oh God!"
Yeah, exactly.
And then instead of flying away, which they very easily could have done, they're all like, hey, let's shoot at this like skyscraper-sized gorilla with our M16s.
Right.
That'll do it.
That'll do it.
Yeah, like they really they commit fully to just flying at Kong and just firing bullets at him
not
to no avail. In fact, the only damage that Kong sustains is when he like grabs the back end of a helicopter and the propeller like cuts his hand. He's like, "Ouch!"
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, a little bit.
yeah.
People
And aside
going
from
down-
that, he's chilling.
People going down left and right. Like we lost a lot of the crew in that beginning part there.
True.
And they just stayed at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single chopper
Yeah.
went down.
Yeah, he cleared the airspace.
Oh yeah. They basically just like either. I don't think any really landed successfully past that.
No,
first one.
not
Yeah.
at all. So we know that the dude whose name I can't remember, but we'll just call him the father, I guess.
Father
The guy who's writing to his kid multiple times throughout
Oh,
the
yeah.
intro. He's away from everybody else. His helicopter crashed
He's
somewhere.
like the sole survivor of a crash.
And everybody else, I don't think they necessarily like landed together, but they
Right.
easily enough were like, "Oh, hey, there you are, cool."
Right.
And Samuel L. Jackson is like radioing the dude who's writing to his kid, and he's like, "Oh, okay, like by the mountain, cool. Tell me your blah 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 blah," and then the radio cuts out. He's like, "Well, we're going by the mountain to find what's his face." We have what's his face writing to his kid who's by the mountain or
Yeah.
whatever. And then we have Samuel L. Jackson and Soldier Crew.
Yep.
And then I think we have Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston and maybe a geologist?
Yeah,
right?
geologist.
like,
We got like the
And the
And the
Avengers
biologist, I
in
think,
one
too.
year.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like on their own too, and they're like, I guess, trying to regroup with everyone.
And
Yeah,
then
so
also
we-
like rando guy whose job is unclear to me that wasn't about to get on the helicopter at first.
Yes.
It's like,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
no
Yeah,
way
what
I'm
did
going
he
on that
do?
helicopter.
No, I
And
don't know.
Whatever his job was, I don't know who he was, but he was there.
Yeah, his job was
Stick
like,
in the
fodder.
mud. He's
Yeah.
just a stick in the mud.
But yeah, so we essentially have two separate groups and then one dude by himself.
Yeah, who I'm sure
and-
is destined for greatness.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the gang.
Tom Hiddleston and crew is like, well, we got to get to the north of the island for the pickup.
Yeah, because Tom Hiddleston
Well,
is the
no.
tracker, so he's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, based on this, and this, I think it's in our best interest to head that way.
Right.
To clarify again, so we have our
Clarify.
three separate groups,
Well,
and it
two
seems
groups
like
and a man.
yes, two groups and a man with three separate motivations, and so we have motivation
Well, two
of
motivations, because the man and the soldiers want to get back together, but Tom Hiddleston and crew want to advance. to
two
the
and a
north.
half. Okay,
What?
we'll
No, those are the
compromise
same-
there.
No, look, I'm telling you, two groups and a man with two motivations.
Like we have three motivations. Listen to me here.
Third base.
We have, so we have Tom Hiddleston and group who are like, I'm a tracker. I know where to go. We're going north. And then we have Soldier group with Samuel L. Jackson, and they're like, hey, we got to find Lone Soldier Dude. And Lone Soldier Dude is like, I need to not die because I'm stranded by myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are the three motivations
You don't think
going
he wants
forward.
to regroup with his platoon?
I'm sure he does, but I think his more pressing matter is not getting eaten by the log
Well,
monsters.
isn't
He wants to see
everybody
his
in a
son.
larger sense's main goal to not get eaten by the various monsters on the
I
island?
always-
Honestly,
I
that's my
always
goal
think
right
about that.
now.
Yeah, right.
So
I'm
couldn't
just trying not to be.
couldn't we just say two groups and a man, one motivation, don't die?
I think we've well made our point as to what the motivations are here. And yeah, so I guess as Mike was alluding to, we have Soldier Group who are
Oh, and John Goodman.
oh yeah, John Goodman's with them. That's right.
Yes.
And John Goodman and Samuel L. Jackson keep kind of butting heads.
Well, because Samuel L. Jackson is like, all right, John Goodman, good to see you're healthy, and then like pulls a gun on him, and he's like, you're gonna tell me everything you didn't tell me before we arrive here. And
Nah,
John Goodman's like,
respect for that though, because
Yeah.
he knew there was some underlying motivation
yeah, he's
why
like,
they're visiting the island,
He's
and
like, what do
that's
you know,
he-
John Goodman?
that's where we got a little backstory. It's like,
well, yeah, the
I-
monkey might have tipped that.
yeah, and John
I-
Goodman's like, I have this theory that there's really large creatures on this island.
Like,
Samuel
can you
L.
tell
Jackson
my
is like,
no.
right,
Shit.
yeah. Tell me about that. And John Goodman's like, I encountered one a long time ago, and they called me crazy. But who's crazy now?
Actually, I think there we find another motivation. I don't think he was trying to survive at all. Right? I think his main motivation was like, hey, y'all see this? I'm not fucking crazy.
Yeah, he's
I
just
like
trying
that.
to get proof.
Yeah,
Really a
two
personal
groups, one man,
vendetta,
4 motivations.
Oh man. I wonder what the writing room for this movie
Right, I
looks
was
like.
gonna say, like, yeah,
Everyone
just
got
really-
to write their own character
character
and just their own
development now.
plot around this character.
But yeah, so then we have John Goodman and Soldier Group, and they're trekking forward to both, I guess, find more evidence of giant monsters and find the lone soldier dude. And while doing that, they encounter several different large beasts.
But I think Tom Hiddleston's crew encounters the water buffalo. Then we go to bamboo spider. Then we go to tribe people.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a bamboo spider that was pretty sick.
Pretty
Yeah.
sick.
It was up in the.
A bunch of no-name characters getting murked left
I
and
love
right.
the way it was introduced because it just looked like somehow this person had been like stabbed through the mouth with like bamboo,
Right.
and everyone just like,
That
how
just,
did
like,
that
fallen?
happen? And
Yeah.
the bamboo just like moves.
Yeah, I still love the idea that Kong is like above the trees, just like throwing bamboo.
No, it's a
genuinely a
giant
thought.
spider with like tentacles too, which is pretty weird.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and some like claws.
Yeah, yeah. Claw, it has
Terrible
like
depth
spider
perception.
claws.
No.
Yeah,
I'm
it was
not.
So I
like
guess
a-
it's like a bamboo like crab.
Yeah.
They
something like that.
they
like
end
a
up
tongue.
killing it. They started cutting off the legs, which was
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
is a good strategy because they're on the ground and then they use their guns again.
Bop, bop, bop.
Yeah, they take it
Can't
out
help it, can't help
successfully.
And Tom Hiddleston and crew does not harm the water buffalo because they're more
Yeah,
about
the water
beef.
buffalo
You
is
know what?
majestic.
Maybe that's supposed to be the theme there, that you have the not soldier people who are like, you know what? Let's leave this beautiful unknown creature
Well, I don't know.
untouched.
If the water buffalo's introduction was impaling one of Tom Hiddleston's crew with its horn,
It's a theme, Mike.
Maybe there'd be a different outcome there.
Right.
And they're just like, oh, this majestic water buffalo. While the soldiers, as soon as one of theirs gets pierced through like the throat with some bamboo, they're like,
like this
so majestic.
majestic
Yeah.
spider.
Oh, it's incredible.
But yeah, so that happens, and then as we stated, then we have Tom Hiddleston crew who are walking through the woods, and they like encounter like some ruins of some sort, like some bricks and stuff lying
Yep.
around.
Oh
Yep,
yeah.
got bricks. Yeah.
And then they see people emerge from the bricks, essentially
With weapons.
with weapons, and they are these native people to this land, and so we got surrounded by natives with spears and guns aiming everywhere, and it's about to go down until good old World War II dude.
Yeah, John C. Reilly.
He really introduced a lot of. He was a good comedic relief. I
Yeah.
think
True.
in a very, not that the movie was ridiculously serious in the first place, but I think he retained a sense of humor over the years. So
Yeah, the thing about John C. Reilly is like, he's just so charming, you know? Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like he could be like doing the worst acting possible, but he's just so damn charming that you're like, I like this guy. You know?
I'll listen to him. I'll
Yeah.
follow what he says, and they should have really.
Yeah.
But yeah, he takes them. He's like, hey, he's sort of the mediator between the two groups
Yeah.
for a second there, and he's like, all right, we don't need to kill anyone. What are you guys up to? You know, like,
You're gonna help me get off this island, maybe?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
right.
And then he's like, all right, follow me, I guess. And so then they all follow John C. Reilly and people, and they end up going to like a village. And John
Surrounded
C.
by
Reilly,
walls and like
Yeah.
dams and stuff.
and they're like, "Oh, is that wall for Kong?" And he's like, "Oh no, like it's for something much worse."
Yeah,
Right.
he was like, no, we don't want to keep Kong out. Kong's great.
We love that guy.
Which
Yeah.
a great, good plot twist to keep
Yeah.
it moving.
Yeah.
Like Kong isn't the bad guy here. Kong's actually kind of our protector in a little
Exactly.
He's their
bit.
king.
You go
He's
into
the
this
king of
like
this land.
sacred
Kong.
grave room, and they're like have all these etchings and stuff like that. And basically,
Well, also not before John C. Reilly's like, these people live in perfect harmony and happy, and are happy. And you want to know why? because communism.
Yeah, he's like, there's no private property.
Right.
He said they're living in the trees and we're still down here in the roots.
Yeah.
Like, so true.
So true, bestie.
I love how he specifically was like, there's no private property. And I'm like, yeah, tell him, John.
He's just sitting there like reading the Google definition of communism. He's like, it's crazy how they achieved happiness. What could it be?
God.
And so then John C. Reilly starts explaining essentially the lore of this land, and he's like, well, you see, Kong is the king here, and he protects us from not good monsters that hang out beneath the surface. And there used to be more people like Kong, but they all died, and he's the last one. So don't go fucking with him, okay?
Yeah, because he's the last of his kind. His whole family died. There's like one main kind of like predator species, like you might imagine like T-Rexes or something. Like they run around and they do their thing, and I call them like skull crawlers or something.
And then another instance of Mike's favorite thing where they clearly gave the actors some, like, just have fun with it, you know? Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, he was like, I call them skull crawlers.
What, did you just think of that? Well, I mean, I don't know. I thought it sounded kind of cool.
No, it's fine.
You can call it whatever you want.
Call it
I don't
that.
know.
No, I'm fine with calling them that, you know. Boo, boo. I just, it's become a trend in movies now where there's
No, it
just like one
certainly has.
scene. And, and it's very obvious because it's usually, like, there's usually music in the background before it, and then they cut the music for these actors to do, like, their comedy bit. And then they bring the music back in.
And the
I'm
comedy
like, oh.
bit is always like some kind of like misunderstanding, like kind of like bit,
I
Right.
think
like
I think
communication
a lot of
breakdown of
writers
sort.
Went to school and understand the modern brand of comedy to be like that awkward stuttering kind of like, oh well, no, we could, no, I'm fine with. No, we can call it that. If you
Sorry,
want.
what'd you say? No, you go, please, no.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. Yeah, just like that. And they understand that to be the modern brand of comedy. So there's always like some of that inserted somewhere.
That's very
And,
true.
Oh, my
That's
eyes.
what I was saying about like the comedic relief a little bit. It does break the tension of like, okay, it's not that
Yeah,
serious,
definitely.
you know, like it does break it
Yeah.
down for a sec.
Yeah,
But
sure.
fuck, I'm gonna notice that now.
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
that
Yeah.
was it. That like now I'm gonna
Yeah.
be like, the music.
I should
stopped,
we should keep a
improvising.
tally of what
We
movie,
will.
like how many
We
movies
will.
you managed to do that.
We know that Jungle Cruise did it.
Yeah, and we
And
know
I'm
that this
glad to
did
see
it.
it dates all the way back to, what was this, 2013?
2017.
2017? Okay,
Yeah.
thank God. 2017.
Then I think they more or less were like, okay, yeah, well, we have to get to this point in the island. And he's like, oh, well, that's impossible. I mean, unless you have a boat.
Yeah.
Which,
Which,
he has.
yeah,
We could
might
build
have
one.
one.
We do
Yeah.
have.
And they're like, oh, but how long would that take? And he's like, oh, like 12 hours maybe.
And then Mike went to the bathroom, and then they showed the boat that he and God, I can't remember his name, but the Japanese guy who was in World War II with him, or the one that he was duking it out with.
Yeah.
But
But they ended
Yeah.
up being homies.
Yeah, and
I don't
Because
think
Kong
he got
brings
it.
peace.
and he got killed by one of the skull crawler things at some point.
Oh yeah.
And so John C. Reilly's like, this boat, it ain't much, but me and other World War II guy, we were working on this with parts from our planes and so on and so forth, and we were going to ride out into the sea and get off of this island, but I'm going to do it for him. Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all him.
Yeah.
And then I don't know when this scene actually happened. I'm just going to insert it here. When we have like the one man who's
Uh-huh.
been writing to his
Oh,
son,
yeah.
like wandering around, and then like he stops in like a river and tries to get some water, and then like Kong comes around the corner, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's Kong!" So like he hides for a minute, but Kong's just like coming by to show a bit of his like sentience and humanity in a sense, and he starts like tending to his wounds and like
Oh,
poking
yeah.
around at the blood and like washes his hands, and then like a tentacle comes out and starts attacking Kong, but that's no problem for Kong. He just like snaps the tentacle in half
Oh, he
and like
just
kills
slurped
this
that
octopus
shit
and
up.
starts eating
He
it.
starts having some sushi.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I was hungry. Thanks, octopus. And that's the scene, more or less. And so, like, maybe, like, the lone guy is like, oh, maybe Kong's just like any of us animals out here, tending to his wounds and killing octopi with his bare hands.
That
You know,
makes
all
me
of
think,
us.
I
Yeah.
can't wait to
You know?
go see my son.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
Billy.
that scene where this one guy gets, like, a look at King Kong's, I guess, more passive side. Until he kills that octopus brutally.
Yeah, that wasn't too passive.
No. He is multifaceted.
What's Samuel L. Jackson and crew doing in this time? I can't quite remember. It can probably be just pretty well summed up, and they just continue their search for for what's his face.
Yeah, nothing's coming to mind.
Yeah. And I guess then also around this general time frame, what's his face, who's writing to his son Billy, is like, well, this seems like a good time for me to take a load off and sit on this log and hang out. And so he's doing just that.
But it wasn't a log.
Casual.
It was
a log mantis.
A stick.
Yeah.
A log mantis.
Yes. Yeah, so then he grabs his gun and just starts firing into this thing, and then it turns around. He's like, "Yeah, that's right. You better run."
Yeah, exactly.
And then he turns around and without any fanfare or anything, just gets chomped by one of the skull crawler things.
I thought we would have had a more memorable death.
Yeah, I thought you'd have him clawing, fighting tooth and nail of no, I have to get to my son. But no, he's just
screen.
Yeah.
It's literally chomped and then cut.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. It's just cut.
And that's our introduction to the skull
Personally,
crawlers.
I thought that scene was a moment of character development where he's shooting at the log thing and it just walks away, and I thought he was gonna be like, oh, the monsters aren't really monsters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're just creatures like you were. Oh God!
The monsters. Fuck, I was wrong. They're monsters.
He tries to pet the
exactly.
the lizard, the skull crusher thing.
Yeah.
It develops like a Snow White type thing towards the end where he speaks with the animals. And he comes up, Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 3 birds come flying overhead. Yeah, none of that.
So
he just gets chomped by a skull crawler.
So now the viewer realizes that he's dead, but we get shifted back to this, this search for my man because he has to get home to see his son.
And Samuel L. Jackson's search party and Tom Hiddleston crew in the boat, I think, have met up at this point.
Right.
Well, are we going to talk about that guy getting brutally torn apart by those birds?
I think you just talked about
go ahead if you want. Yeah.
Very well lit scene too, right in front of the sun.
of the
You just see it all a shadow.
Yeah.
Pretty much as soon as they depart on the boat, a swarm of I don't know, pterodactyl-esque type creatures come and grab that one stick in the mud guy who didn't want to get on the helicopter and pull him up and rip his arm off in front of the sun. And then
also, I'm pretty sure he is holding a briefcase the entire time.
True.
Even when the birds are
did
holding
not
him
let
up.
that go.
Yeah.
I also love how all of the soldiers point their guns up, and the one guy is there's no shot, put him down.
Yeah,
and they just watch
and
them
Tom Hiddleston's
fly away
that
with
or
him.
something.
Listen, there's no shot, man. The birds
Shoot
flying
him.
up there.
Put him.
Why are you gonna
yeah.
shoot him?
Yeah.
You're trying to save him. Why would you
I'd
shoot him?
I'd rather a bullet to the head than my
Be
limbs get
dismembered
ripped
by
That's
a
off.
actually
creepy
such a fair
pterodactyl.
point.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God! After they watch his arm get ripped off, Brie Larson's like, maybe we can go save him. And they're like, no, I don't think so.
I think he's dead.
Yeah. But right after that, then the soldier people are like, oh, do you hear us? And they're like, oh, we hear you. Fire your flares. So they do that, and they're like, oh, there you are. We'll be right there. And then they meet up.
Yeah. There's
Right.
And then they have that moment where they're like, how many of you guys, just what you see? He's like, yeah, we lost one too. It's lost one? You mean right now?
Yeah,
the guy
literally
that just
2
got
minutes
ripped
ago.
apart?
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost him.
Oh, yeah, we lost him 1 or 2 days ago. Yeah, no, minutes. Right upstream.
Probably still see his blood.
And so again, to reiterate, Samuel L. Jackson, or I guess anybody for that matter, does not know that the guy who was writing to his son is dead. So they're like, we got to go find that dude who's totally not dead.
Yeah.
And then Tom Hiddleston and John C. Reilly are like, that's actually a terrible idea. We need to go north so that we can get out of here.
Right.
And then he's like, no, or Samuel L. Jackson is like, no, we got to go west. That's where he's going. And then John C. Reilly is like, west? That's the worst way that you could go.
West is the worst part
East
of
is
the
best,
island.
west is worse. That's what they
Exactly.
say
He
on the
did
island.
say that.
So, they were trying to stick to that.
And so
because
then
Brie Larson and World War II guy are like, we're going north. And then Samuel L. Jackson turns to Tom Hiddleston. He's like, you track people and things, but people for this case. That's what we hired you to do. So, track our friend. And Tom Hiddleston is like, that is what I've been hired to do, and that is what I do. So
And I think
It's my
also,
heroic
like,
duty.
more or less somebody in that crew is like, hey, listen, buddy, to Samuel L. Jackson. And then, like, the entire soldier squad just, like, lift their guns. They're like, you make a good point.
Yeah,
Let's go that way.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so then they start heading west.
Yep.
Yeah, they went. I guess they got to like that.
The abyss.
The abyss, sort of.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
come to
they get like right to
clearing.
like the Kong graveyard.
Yeah,
like,
where there's a
immediately.
bunch of like
skulls
Kong bones
and
lying around.
bones
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm sure we'll do fine here.
right.
I wonder why they call them skull crawlers.
And then the
Yeah.
one guy who's like been there for like 20 years is like, oh no, you guys just got here. I've been here for decades. This is the worst place to go. And they're
Yeah,
like,
like
I
there
don't
is
think you know what
literally
you're talking about.
no place on this island that is more likely to have us killed. And they're like, all right, team, let's get moving.
Yeah, let's head out.
Like, that's where our very much alive friend is then. And it's like,
The sea of bones.
Yeah, the
Right.
Sea of Bones is where we'll find our still totally alive friend and soldier.
They start traversing, obviously, and
one dude tries to light a smoke
Yeah,
and it blows up.
Kills all of them.
'Cause
yeah.
I guess there's like
kind of did blow up a little bit.
methane or like I don't know. I don't know chemistry. But
I
there's
feel
some
like
kind
methane-
of flammable
I'll buy
gas
that.
that's
I'll
hanging
buy
out
that.
around here,
Gas.
and yeah, they're like,
there's
okay, actually,
flammable
maybe
fumes.
don't do that.
No more cigarettes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not good.
And John Goodman gets fucked at this point because his camera starts malfunctioning and starts snapping a bunch of photos, and he's like looking at it, and then like he senses death on his shoulder, and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
like, ah shit, and then like one of the skull crawlers just like nabs him, and the camera's still flashing and malfunctioning inside its belly. So this is when we go to the big dramatic scene where like
Everybody's hiding behind stuff.
Yeah,
trying not to get
everyone's
murked.
circled up.
Right.
And there's the skull crawler now, and it can only be seen through the flash through the fog from John Goodman's camera inside its belly, which I guess is its skin is translucent enough to have the flash of the camera come through pretty
I
strongly.
mean, you
Oh,
ever
yeah,
put like a
obviously.
flashlight
And
against your finger. You know, you
Yeah,
can see
right.
some-
Yeah, exactly. Just like that, I guess.
But then it gets.
And it's
it
somehow
gets,
just going off. Like,
Yeah.
like he's in there, like in the stomach, still taking pictures.
Yeah, I think he was. He was like the research. You know,
Yeah.
these monsters are real.
Yeah.
It's like
I
I'm
thi- I
sure
think-
my comrades will get
I
me
think
out of
the
this.
camera was
someday.
like malfunctioning or something and was just like
Probably,
snapping a lot of
yeah.
the flashes and
But eventually, the skull crawler, is like approaching their hiding place as it does. They're like, everyone stay quiet, and it's like right there, and we get an important little scene where the skull crawler just throws up the eaten dead skull of Mr. Father.
They
Yeah.
conveniently
Yeah.
just has his dog tab
Yeah,
wrapped
right.
around.
Yeah.
Also, like
Somehow.
Tom Hiddleston must have like 20/20 vision,
Yeah,
like
easy.
times 5. 'cause
Yeah.
he's
It went
just like,
Yeah.
like that's our guy that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Yup.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like the dog tag, and I'm like, well, there's your proof, unless you got to read it. And then right at that time, Tom Hiddleston like reads it. I'm like, oh, there you go. At least you can read it. Yeah.
How did they kill that?
Well, yeah. Then like shit starts to hit the fan, and
Right.
like some dude with a flamethrower comes up and starts throwing flames.
One dude tries
Indeed.
to set off like a toxic smoke can, or gets
Well,
eaten.
no,
one of
so
the
I-
two.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much action. But anyway, flamethrowers going off. Somebody drops a bunch of poison cans that then like explode.
Explode, yeah.
The Skullcrawler throws dude who has the flamethrower, who then like goes into a skull and then explodes.
Filled with fumes, so he
Um,
has the flamethrowers, so that explodes.
Yeah, so he explodes, and then the explosion then causes more like pterodactyl babies to like be like, oh,
Yes.
now's our cue to start fucking
well,
stuff
'cause
up.
As soon as the
Yep.
toxic
Yep.
fumes start, it's like a big green cloud, and then all the pterodactyls. 'cause they're
Yeah,
coming
and
up
like
from
all
that.
the view is obscured, and John C. Riley's just like slicing like baby pterodactyls.
Yeah, with his friend's old katana.
Yeah, and then
Or Wakashi or whatever. the
yeah,
hell
and then
it
that's
is.
when Tom Hiddleston's like, "Hey, throw me your only protection," and then he
And
does,
cherished item.
and he like puts on the gas mask and just like does some samurai bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
pretty
still
much.
in the toxic cloud rips off the gas
Yeah.
mask. It keeps going like there's no problem.
Lungs of steel.
Yeah, and that's
Which
most of that.
Then leads us to the great moment where all of their weaponry was useless, but Brie Larson throws a lighter
Yeah.
and it just lands in this gas pocket
Ah,
and blows
yeah,
up
right.
the monster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she really saved the
Yeah.
day
And
there.
Forgot
they're
all
like,
about
we
that.
did it, hooray! And then John C. Riley again is like, hey, just want to bring it up again. We should probably go the other way. And
Probably should
they're
get
like,
out.
no, dude, we got to find what's his face. And then Tom Hiddleston's like, look, I hate to tell you this, but like this was on a skull back there a second ago.
What's
I
his
don't
face
think your
is
boy is
dead.
like still hanging out. And well, then I think like the soldiers are like, well, I mean that makes a good point. But Samuel L. Jackson's like, I don't fucking care. Like, let's
like,
keep
oh,
going.
He's like,
He's like,
yeah,
goes-
let's go to the ship, you know, like the helicopter that he crashed in
Yeah.
because we still want to get their gear. And it's like, come on, man.
They're like, why do you want their gear? And Samuel L. Jackson is like, because once we get that gear, we can kill every monster on this island.
Yeah,
He
you
basically
really
said, we lost Vietnam, we're not losing this.
exactly.
Yeah.
You get the sense that he really, really needs it.
Yeah.
He needs a win.
and
My man is down bad,
He's really
and
down
he
bad.
needs the win.
Well, apparently at this point, not a single one of the soldiers is like, I doubt that, sir. Like, not a
Yeah.
single one of them. As soon as Samuel L. Jackson is like, yeah, if we get like 2 more pistols, I'm pretty sure we can kill all of these things.
Yeah.
And all the soldiers are like, oh yeah, that sounds about right to me. Yeah, I'm
Half-
with Sarge. Or
Yeah.
whatever. Christ above.
Like half their team gets murked by this baby monster, and he goes, if we get these extra guns, the
Yeah.
remaining survivors of us can kill all of them.
I'm talking
And-
Kong. I'm talking any of these other skull
Easy.
things.
Yeah, because like John C. Riley is literally like, no, you don't want to kill Kong. Like Kong's the only thing that's like killing the other things. I mean, you kill Kong, and then that's like all that's left. And he's like, motherfucker, we will kill Kong, and then we'll kill all the other things. Like,
what?
Yeah.
What don't you understand about that? We can kill things.
yeah,
Very,
And so that's their plan.
yeah.
And Samuel L. Jackson is pretty crazy at this point. And for some reason, Tom Hiddleston and crew at this point is not like, that sounds good. You go.
We're gonna go
do
the
that.
other way."
We're gonna go
Yeah.
back to the boat.
Right.
And like maybe we'll wait for you until dawn. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just go north. But they decide to join Samuel L. Jackson on
Yeah.
this adventure.
I would imagine it's probably something along the lines of the before of like, look, you're the tracker dude. You're coming with us, or I kill you.
Yeah, he was acting a little crazy. But I guess they continue to set off towards this westward peak.
They get there.
Yeah, they get
Yeah.
to the place where all the weapons are, and they
There's some of the
start-
bombs left.
Yeah.
They, like, grab these bombs
and like napalm stuff.
And
let's-
like some
let's
MGs
just
and stuff. You know,
light
some
shit on
machine
fire.
guns, stuff like that.
Yeah, so then they more or less start setting up like a trap, and then separately, Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston are just like walking, I guess, and they like go to
Yeah.
like. I don't know if it was supposed to be the same place that World War II dudes like were duking it out, but it looks similar. And either way, it's like a cliff overlooking something.
Right.
And then Kong comes up. And
All
he's
right.
like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And Brie Larson like touches his nose.
Yeah, he
and
was mad
sheds a
chill.
tear.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Yeah, this is cool."
Kong, you're cool. And
I was
Kong's
glad,
like, you
yeah.
humans are cool.
He's a nuanced guy, you know.
He really is.
He's got
But then
respect.
Samuel L. Jackson blows up some stuff, and Kong's like, what the hell?
I better
Yeah.
go see what that is.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, let me tend to this bullshit. But
Mhm.
he starts walking up, and he's basically in this sort of lake type thing, and Samuel L. Jackson and the other soldiers are on the shore, just sort of watching him approach. And Samuel L. Jackson has this, this
Like a
torch
torch,
in
yeah.
his hand. Yeah. And he's just kind of watching him, and he comes closer, and then throws it into the water and lights it up. They
Yeah.
poured some
Yeah, like
napalm or something.
whatever.
Yeah.
Into the lake, so when King Kong approaches, it's like a lake of fire that they now like set on fire.
And now he's on fire. And he's
Yes.
like, "Ah, shit."
And he manages
It's
to
like,
like
"Ah,
swat
man."
one soldier into oblivion, but
Yeah.
then like just falls over, and he kind of eats it. And this is when like Tom Hiddleston.
Well, actually, I think it wasn't even it might have been like the one other like science dude that was still chilling. I think he just like steps on
Oh, yeah,
him,
yeah, he
and
steps
then he's
on
like,
him.
"Well,"
Yeah.
and then then he falls over.
Yeah. And then
Um,
Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson and the biologist and the geologist and World War II guy
Are
are
just
all
like,
going
"What
back to
the
the boat.
fuck?"
But Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston are like, we're gonna go back, and they're like, what for? And they're like, to save Kong. You guys go to the boat. And then World War II guy is like, well, if you're going to save Kong, I'm coming with you to save Kong.
Indeed.
So they go back towards that way where Kong is felled. And when they finally get there to where the soldiers and Samuel L. Jackson are,
They
Samuel L.
just pretty much
Jackson
get there just in time to hear Samuel L. Jackson be like, "All right, put explosives all over him."
Yeah, he's like, I'm ready to blow this whole place up. And so the soldiers do so. And then World War II guy and Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson get there. And Tom Hiddleston pulls his gun on Samuel L. Jackson and is like, you're not killing Kong this way. and then so World War II guy pulls like a gun and like the sword on two of the other soldiers. And looks to like the youngest and most kind-hearted soldier of the bunch, and is like, "You know this ain't right, son." And then like that works. So this guy turns his gun on Samuel L. Jackson, and it's like, "We can't do it this way, Lieutenant or Sarge or whatever his rank is." And that's basically when like they're like, "Yeah, face it, Lieutenant. Like the battle's over. Like you've lost it." But that's when like Big Daddy Skull comes up from out of the water. And they're like, what the hell is that? And they're like, that's the big one. And then it's like, "Rah!" And it like, comes up just like that.
Yeah, and then I'm pretty sure like everybody except Samuel L. Jackson is like, well, that's our cue to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Right.
And start like heading out.
Yeah.
But then Samuel L. Jackson is like, that's it. I'm killing both of you mothers. And then just like hits the button to explode everything. But before it does anything, Kong just smashes him. And and then Samuel L. Jackson is dead.
Yeah.
Pom, pom, pom.
Sadly, he did kind of deserve it. He was just
sure did.
very, you know,
Just the worst.
He was just a lot. He was a
The
lot
worst.
throughout. But then you know it's big boss mode now.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
right.
It's time for the
Like,
big
Yeah, I know
monster
that.
fight.
But, so Kong, I know that Kong and the Thing kind of start duking it out, and then like, does Kong get like incapacitated to some extent because then like the Skullcrawler thing is chasing the people who are running away?
No, I don't remember.
It's-
What I do
it's
remember
either
is
that
Brie
or
Larson,
Kong,
for
like-
some inexplicable reason, is sent to higher ground. I don't know
Yeah,
why she said
that's true.
She did Tom
And she
Hiddleston
has, like, a
tells her
flare
to go to
gun.
higher ground and shoot a flare at the peak of some mountain
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
the
we really don't know
extraction
what
team,
their
maybe?
plan
Like, I don't
is.
know
I
what
guess.
in
for.
that way.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I also don't know what was going on there.
Anyway,
but yeah,
that
I'm going to assume that like when the Skullcrawler, well, after Kong destroys Samuel L. Jackson, they start like duking it out a bit, and then the Skullcrawler gets like a good whack at him, and he's like, "Oh, I need to sit down for a second."
Right.
And then then the rest of the crew, they're running away. Brie Larson shooting her flare up in the air, but everybody else is like, "All right, go this way, I guess." And they go into like this valley of sorts. And then this one dude who doesn't have a whole lot of defining characteristics aside from like, I'm a soldier.
Right.
He like pulls out some grenades and it's like,
all right.
go, other guy who I've kind of been cool with this time.
Yeah.
Go live your life. Bop, bop. Come and eat me, you big dumb monster.
Oh, yeah,
and then the
he
big
popped
dumb
them
monster
grenades,
like
yeah.
kind of like sizes him up, and it looks like he might take a bite, but then he does a swift
Tail
turnaround
whips him.
and tail whips him
Yeah.
right into the wall, where he
Home
then
run.
explodes.
Straight home run. It was incredible.
And then
What
everybody's just
velocity.
like, oh.
Wasn't really mad about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a sick kill.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, yeah. If anything, I was rooting for the Skull Crusher in that one.
That's home run derby type stuff. That was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't you be so disappointed if that's how they beat that thing? Like, if Kong and him duked it out, and then
Right,
Kong got like hit in the head and was
Kong
like,
has
"I'm
to
gonna
kill
sit
him."
this out,"
Yeah.
but then dude with grenades like saves the day. That would be pretty.
So disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then they're like, "Oh no, all hope is lost. If only a big monkey could come save us." And then a big monkey with a rock comes and starts cracking heads.
Oh
Real,
yeah,
like,
there was that.
WWE style, just
Yeah.
like falls from the
Yeah,
sky.
I'm just like
with
waiting
this
for
rock,
JR
just
to be like, "Oh
bashes
my god!"
Yeah.
He has a family.
It was pretty sick.
That's one hell of a slobber knocker.
Yeah, they start battling and
Real hard,
going at
yeah.
it like crazy. And I think at this point, really, it's like the humans are just kind of running. They're there. They're just kind of running away, watching all this unfold.
Well, yeah, like I think that like pretty much everybody gets to like a safe distance essentially.
Brie Larson.
Yeah, exactly. Except for Brie Larson, the boat comes around and Oh, and so Kong gets like knocked into like this old ship or something, and then is all tangled up in the chain, and his big dumb monkey brain can't like figure out what to do, and so he's just like sitting there. And then the Skull Crusher thing is like, you know what? Now's my time to go eat these little people. And then boat comes around, and little people are just like pop, 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 shooting at it.
Guns that I don't think any of us noticed on the boat
I
when
know,
it was
right?
first introduced.
Yeah, things are just popping up at this point.
I didn't even know there was a gun on that thing.
Yeah, exactly. It was totally like unnoticeable.
And then all of us in unison were like, "This is not a wise move." It's like, I would not be shooting this thing.
I don't know
with
if
your
this
one
is
escape
gonna work.
vessel.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
So then, like, it seems like every single person except for Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson get on this boat, and
The
they're
boat that
like,
the monster's running directly at.
yeah, and they're doing their darndest to stop it, not doing like anything at all.
And then Tom Hiddleston is like, "Well, I'm not this big object of a boat, and also I'm not shooting this monster, but I'm confident that I'll be able to distract it with my running or something," which works surprisingly enough.
That did work.
Like the big skull crawler is like, "All right, I have this boat, I have this gun shooting at me on this boat, but there's that guy. He's just
I
running."
really
Who's that
don't.
little
Yeah, I don't
guy?
like that guy.
Yeah.
I think
Chase
my
him.
attention's really drawn to this guy right now.
And
Which
then
is the perfect distraction,
yeah.
sort of, for...
yeah, Kong starts doing some like big brain moves
His
and starts
solo
like getting
just, like,
himself out.
develops.
Which
Yeah.
actually, it's not.
Not really.
I wish
mean,
that he
just
would, because
broke
he's a
through the
monkey. He
chain.
has
Like-
he has like brains. I really wish he was like, oh, okay, so if I,
I can
lift it,
untangle
oh,
it.
cool.
Untangle
But no,
it.
he's just like
He just
and
breaks it.
like
Yeah.
breaks the chain. And then to his credit, he uses his big monkey brain to like do like a like wrecking ball
He gets,
type
like, a Morning
dealio
Star
with like
deal, yeah.
the propeller end of this chain. So then he starts beating the crap out of the skull crawler.
Well,
slashing
he uses
with
it
this
to
thing.
harpoon the skull crawler and like
Yeah.
pull it back towards him.
Love that.
Yeah, and that was definitely the moment where I think all four of us were like, yeah, get it, pull him back, yeah, go Kong. But yeah, and so he slices it, beats the crap out of it, and it does like this sick cut like right on its throat, and you're like, oh yeah, that's the kill shot, cool. And then through all the battling and such, they like bump into like the rock that Brie Larson is standing on,
Oh,
and
you're
then
not
she's
like
just like,
Dwayne Johnson.
ah, and then she like falls into the water, which I I don't think anybody else laughed at this, but it really made it seem like that Kong was gonna like kind of give up his upper hand in the battle to like save her from
Yeah.
falling.
Oh, I-
But no, not at all.
totally
She just
thought
goes
that.
right into the water.
Yeah.
Which that gave me a good kick.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then Kong beats the crap out of the lizard thing, slices it up a bit, and I was like, you know what? I gotta go save this pretty lady now.
Yeah, I feel like I killed it.
Yeah, and so he picks it up and he's like, I got you, lady. And now that I've killed the God,
Yeah.
And
Surprise!
Comes
Lizard thing is not dead.
not by a long
And I guess
shot.
saw Kong grab that lady because he's now trying to eat Kong's right hand.
Yeah, which is like in like I guess a not fully clenched fist, but not like open palmed type deal. So he's
Yeah,
like keeping her
right.
secure while not crushing her completely.
Yes.
And yeah, so Skullcrawler is like sucking on his hand.
That's really what results in the kill shot.
Yeah.
Is like that, the good hand suck, and then he
yeah,
just
yeah, like it's
pulls-
got like its tongue like wrapped around his
Right.
wrist, which really that was its downfall.
Exactly.
Because then he just like pulls out its entire like organ system
Yeah.
through its tongue.
From its tongue.
And
yeah.
Brie Larson's just like fine. In the
Yeah.
palm
Yeah,
of his
yeah.
hand.
After
Yeah,
that,
she's
opens
like,
his
"Oh,
hand.
hello."
No,
Yeah.
she's not mangled.
Yeah.
She's just like, oh, okay.
And then Kong just like I don't know how to describe it. He just like lets her like slide out of his
Yeah.
palm,
Yeah.
and then just starts like walking away. And Tom Hiddleston's like, "Oh, yeah,
Yep.
They have a
They're
moment there.
fine.
Yeah, it was
Uh-huh.
nice.
yeah." And then Kong like kind of just does like the Breakfast Club, like, "Don't you
Yeah.
forget about me," like kind of moment.
Uh-huh. And they all got on the boat, and the helicopters that are going to rescue them come in from the distance. And then Kong looks like he's doing like a mad, I'm going to kill these helicopters roar.
Yeah,
But I guess he didn't do that.
It was
I
the-
interpreted
yeah.
it more as he's just like, yeah, that's right. Don't come dropping any bombs because I'm king around here.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, something like that. And yeah, and then What's his name?
Pretty much, yeah. It's just John C. Riley, the
World
was
War
he
II
the
fella.
World War II guy?
Yeah, he's just like going back to his family who haven't seen him in like 30 years.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
a nice,
he
heartwarming
They
moment.
still live in the same house.
yeah.
Never moved on, didn't remarry.
Mhm. And then he has a hot dog and a beer, and he's like,
Watching the
I am
Cubs.
living the life.
Classic.
Yeah. And then roll credits and end of movie.
And then post credits.
Then we have post. Yeah.
Yep.
Tom
There's a
Hiddleston
little-
and Brie Larson are being interrogated.
Yeah.
And Tom Hiddleston's like, all right, I get it. I was never on an island. And Brie Larson's like, I'll tell the whole world about the island. And then, like, the biologist and the geologist come in. And they're like, what island? And they're like, why are we here? And they're like, there's more monsters, namely Godzilla. And that's the post-credit scene.
Yeah, pretty much.
There you go.
I liked in a state of confusion how in that post credit scene,
Mhm.
two people that were on the island are like interrogating two other people that were on the island.
Yeah, it seemed
And
like there
there
was
seems
a
to be
lot
this
of like
power
fanfare
dynamic
of,
there.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, like they've been through enough together. Couldn't they have just been like, hey, just so you know, we have some more work to do? But
Yeah.
no, they're like, like they probably got like Secret Service people to like shove them in there and be like, shut up,
No food.
yeah, yeah, and that's this wonderful film.
Solid
Hooray.
film.
Yeah. Yeah, which again, I to reiterate, I was very pleasantly surprised with. It was a lot better than I expected.
Yeah.
I have some interesting reviews.
Let's
Yeah.
do
Is
it.
that the segment?
Yeah, let's get into some reviews.
Let's do some
If anybody has
reviews.
anything else they'd like to add, please go ahead. But yeah, I'm happy to start reading some reviews.
No, yeah, let's do reviews.
Medina Archer, 1 star, guys, 1
hell
star.
yeah.
So this is gonna be
Unfair.
this is gonna be rough. Here she goes. Some parts of this film were all right, but a lot of work is needed to project authenticity. Can we just? Did you think it was gonna
I
be
just
authentic?
didn't really buy into the
movie
big
is
monkey.
called Kong
you know?
Skull
Yeah.
Island. Okay.
I just didn't buy it. Didn't
Wait.
seem realistic.
Those alien-looking / reptilian creatures weren't even from this world. Is a
Quite
60
literally
foot
were.
gorilla
Yeah.
a part of this world? I don't understand. Okay,
off fake.
thus it came off fake. The natives should have been tougher since they're preparing in case these creatures ever attack. Again, missed a huge plot point there. They have Kong for
The whole
that.
thing was that they can't do that, which
Yeah.
is why Kong is their
Really
dude.
picking apart the wrong pieces.
Also, soldiers turning back to defeat Kong, Weaver falling, locked in Kong's hand as he pulled the creature's tongue out and still alive. Yeah, fair point. Fair point. Moreover,
That's a great way to word that.
that was a weird sentence. Moreover, these survivors were lost or moving through an unknown area filled with dangerous, wild, hungry creatures. Yet at the end of the movie, everyone's skin and clothes were clean as a whistle. Facts. Facts. Though. That's
That's
Hollywood
fair,
for
yeah.
you know? This movie is trash, and it's like the producers aren't trying anymore to produce good movies. Try harder next time. Happy I saw this 3 years after production. And 4 people found this helpful.
Yeah.
I did find one. Initially, I wasn't going to read one.
Do it.
Um,
do it.
Let's see. So this is also a 1-star one. I feel like those are usually pretty fun
Oh,
filled. This is from Mr. Daniel McKee. This is genuinely one of the worst movies I have ever seen. I have no idea what the hell is going on throughout the entire movie. I think it takes place in the 70s, but honestly, I don't know. It seems like they just added as much star power as they could so the movie seemed good to the general population. This movie makes 0 sense. Why is the guy with the sword able to do the most damage?
Fine
Guns
questions.
win over sword in
Good
almost
question.
every setting.
That's fair.
God, this movie actively frustrates me, and it's the only movie I've ever seen that has done that. Okay,
Oh.
that's interesting.
Damn.
This movie sucks hard. I'd give it negative stars if I could.
Yeah, well,
Wow,
sorry,
a
friend.
scathing review.
This
My
guy must
God.
not see
He was
many
not
movies if
fucking
this is the
around.
only movie he's ever seen that's frustrated him.
Also,
Yeah.
they did do. I feel like they did do a good job of at least a little bit setting the scene and like
Yeah.
it's 70s Vietnam War. Like
Yeah,
I
I think it's pretty hard to have to not see that it's set in like Vietnam era, like 70s.
Plus, how was he lost? Like, there were not a lot of layers to this plot.
Yeah, like honestly, we got through this plot recap a lot faster than most movies we do because
Like-
there's not a lot going on.
There's a giant monkey, and your objective is to get to this end of the island, and somehow, like, he got lost.
He got
in
lost.
that.
There was a lot
Yeah.
happening.
He was too busy trying to figure out what year it is.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. It's like, wait, but what year was it though?
Like, I think it's the 70s, but like all of these Vietnam references and the times that it said what year it is at the bottom of the screen is just not clear.
It's just, I'm confused. Yeah.
How about you, Mike? You got yours?
Yeah, I got one. This person's just putting forth that they prefer the Peter Jackson King Kong.
That's fair.
And here we go. This review is from someone named Beast. There's no star rating, so that's interesting. But anyway, only King Kong 2005 tells us the best about how and who is the real Kong. Crown emoji, heart, smiling emoji. King Kong 2005 is full of adventure, thrills, imagination, realistic, fierce, and brave Kong, unpredictable twists, heart-touching and unforgettable moments, and so on, so on. A lot more good things. Heart emoji, okay emoji, top emoji, clapping hands emoji, smiling heart eyes emoji. But Kong Skull Island 2017 is like a waste of time, money, and expectations for me. Thumbs down emoji. Stupid and funny creatures. No thriller, no heart-touching emotions, no fun, and disappointing experience. Frowning face emoji, thumbs down emoji, X emoji. He was not the Kong.
I thought there were some heartwarming moments in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
disagree with that analysis overall. But you can't debate someone's opinions.
Yeah.
Ah, man, it's just beautiful.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We're allowed to just, the
I will
internet is
say
free.
it is really interesting. So, I around Christmas time, I went to Universal in Orlando, which I'd never been before.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have ever been, but there was actually like a Kong like ride at Universal, but it was kind of interesting because like a lot of the rides at Universal, like they're, I don't want to say like old, like 'cause they're not like ancient or whatever, but like it's really weird when you have like rides that are based on like a film.
Right.
Because then, like 20 years pass and like sometimes those films aren't like very relevant. Like for
Right.
example, there was like a ride for the Mummy.
Right.
And like you have like video of like you're waiting in line to get in the ride and you have like video of like Brendan Fraser like 20 years ago. It's like, yeah. And it's like, it seems a little like, not really with the times. But it's interesting because again, there's a Kong ride, but it's like so clearly from like the 2005 Kong, which it's a good movie, whatever. But like it's weird because it's like there's like a new Kong movie, but now it's like, do you update the ride or do you just keep it for like the like at this point like 14-year-old movie?
Right.
Yeah, it's weird.
Was it fun, though?
It was
a good
good. Yeah,
ride?
I went on it twice.
Fair
It was
enough.
fun.
All right.
Yeah, you got to see Kong fight some T-Rexes. I like that.
Always the
Word.
best, yeah.
That is one thing that I kind of wish that we saw in this one because I don't know when the last time or if ever you guys have seen the other Kong movie. But there's a bit where he like grabs like the T-Rex by the jaw and just like rips it. And it's like
Yeah,
fucking
it's
dope.
brutal.
And
It's
it looked
brutal.
like he was gonna do that with this.
There
but
was
he
a
didn't.
moment.
Yeah.
I
There
think
was a
they kind of
moment.
like
Yeah.
nodded to it with
I
that.
think- yeah,
but
I
it didn't
think
like
you're right.
that wasn't like the
Yeah.
match ender.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's weird. We don't watch a lot of movies where we come out the other side and we're like, that was fun. I liked that movie.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't really know what else we could say aside from what we already have. Like, I didn't expect much for this movie. Like, I had seen this movie before and I remembered enjoying it. But as I'd stated, enjoying a movie is not always an indication that it's a good movie. So I was fully ready to come watch this movie and be like, ooh, that was pretty terrible. But it was fun. It was like campy in all the right ways. I thought the action was pretty fun and engaging.
But
And yeah, I feel like the whole cast did a pretty good job. I don't feel like there was like anybody who I was like, this is not great.
right.
They played
Yeah.
the role. They knew the assignment.
Yeah, exactly.
They played their role well.
Yeah. Well, with that, if there's not anything else anybody else wants to add, want to do some ratings here?
Yeah, let's do it.
So,
So,
Yeah, this is a fine film. I've said it enough already. It's fun. I have to do a rewatch of the other Godzilla movies that like tie in with this. See if I feel similarly with them.
Yeah.
Because I will say I did recently see the like latest film installment of this series, which is King Kong versus Godzilla, and that one I think is much more silly in not the fun campy ways.
Right.
Interesting.
It's interesting, but this film in its own regard, quite fine, and I have to give it a out of. And I think that speaks volumes. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, look, for my thing, like, I have also never been a huge King Kong fan, and I've seen all the King Kongs, and I guess the original King Kong versus Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
So, I saw the Peter Jackson one. I've even seen, like, the old-timey black and white one,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen now this one, and I've seen the original King Kong versus Godzilla. And so, having seen all of those previous movies, like, I was just like, yeah, he's fine, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I really liked King Kong in this movie. Now, maybe I've just grown older and my sensibility. Maybe if I go watch Peter Jackson's King Kong for the 3 hours that it is now,
Yeah, it is fucking long.
then I'll go back. But even, like, they got right onto the island, which I liked, and Peter Jackson's King Kong takes a long-ass time to get onto the island and spends a whole lot of time, like, on the boat and before the boat and with the characters there. And I'm just like, I don't care about these characters. So maybe I would now. I don't know. But what I liked about this movie is that it got into it, and that King Kong was, I don't know what it was about him, but either he was designed well, he was kind of, well constructed, like gesture-wise, I guess. I don't know. There's just something about him that I liked his personality in this. So with that, he's kind of the Kong for me, evidently. So regardless of what that one guy said, if I knew emojis, I'd tell you exactly which ones I think about now. But yeah, so I'm gonna give this a out of just because I'm riding high on this film experience,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That made me think. It's been a long time since I've seen the Peter Jackson King Kong movie, and I'm sure it's great. But the thing is I think that it seems kind of pretentious, This 3-hour movie where there's all this setup of like we're going to this island to see this great beast, but no, this one it's like, look, we know you're here for the big monkey.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to the big monkey.
Right.
Get to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, here's all the characters. All right, good. Now,
Yeah. Here's all you need to know about. Like, we're not going to get any deeper than we need to because
like,
we don't
as
have to.
soon as we get on the island, like,
We don't
he's
need depth.
swatting
We have a monkey.
helicopters out of the air. It's great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's fucking great.
I went into this movie thinking the only way I would enjoy it is if I watched it like ironically.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And I came out of this movie wanting to watch all of the other movies in the cinematic universe of it.
Right.
So for that reason, I would give it a out of because I enjoyed it far more than I expected.
Yeah, like that's a really good point. Like, if you came in like tomorrow or next time I hang out with you and you're like, oh, here's like the sequel to Kong Skull Island, I'd be like, pop it in. I'm like, oh my god, let's watch this right now.
I'd be hyped.
Yeah. 100%. That's a really good point.
I do think that maybe if I had approached you before we watched this and it was like, hey, we're going to watch all of the King Kong movies in this franchise, it might be like, that does not sound
That'd be
overly
like,
appealing.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Let's go play Resident Evil.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm glad we came into it. It was like we threw it out like Kong Skull Island, like this one, Like, I'm glad the expectations were not set super high because it left a lot of room for it to really be kind of delightful. I am not a good, with plots of movies. Like, if you would have asked me tomorrow, like if I didn't recount this tonight, I would not know what the hell went on. I know myself. I watch movies for the action.
Yeah.
And the aesthetic value. But for that, I have to say, like we're talking about, it got straight to the point. It knew what we wanted, and it was the action, and it was jam-packed with that. And I did feel, I felt connected with this Kong.
Yeah, they did a good
He had
job
a
with
certain
it.
sentience to him, and there were some heartwarming moments there. So, again, for those reasons, I would have to give it a monkey out of monkey, because I just it really surprised me how nice it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
wonder
on
how
the same page with y'all.
differently we would feel if we did come in with higher expectations. But no,
Yeah,
we
Finn
didn't.
just
We
came in,
came
it's
in
like, this is
with
the greatest
low-ball
King Kong
expectations,
movie. Right.
and I think that was great for us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Really
I love
enhanced
that
the
for us.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for coming on. Is there anything you guys want to talk about or like plug that about yourselves or anything? Before we
First
end?
of all,
nothing to plug.
it was a pleasure.
Thank
I
you.
really enjoyed this.
You're welcome back anytime.
And in terms of plugging, we're in a band called Off Color and working on a new album. That's all I have to say.
Right on, right on.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I'm very curious, Mike, as to like what percentage of our guests have been like musicians as well that we have met.
Oh yeah,
really
like that
doing stuff
reminds
like
me.
this.
If anybody plays like a non-conventional instrument in terms of like rock bands, so like no drums. Well, I mean maybe drums. If you play like jazz drums, but not necessarily guitar. Well, jazz guitar, I guess. If you play jazz and or any horns or piano, email whatever our email. What's our email here, Nate?
WTH was that pod@gmail.com.
God, you're the best at naming. Thank you so much. Yeah, email that and say like Nate in all capital letters. Like make the subject header like Nate in all capital letters, and then start the email like Nate all capital letters. This is a message for Mike.
Yeah.
And then list your instrument and give him like your contact information, and I'll reach out to you.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I am in full support of whatever this
Hell
mission
yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming, and thank you, listener, for tuning in. And we'll catch you next time.
Hooray!
Woo! Yeah.
Kong.
What the hell?